Good evening and welcome to NTD UK News. I'm Stuart Lees. Here's tonight's top story. A temporary ban on flights from South Africa amid concerns that a new COVID variant has already spread to Europe. Also tonight, the Prime Minister says that he does not regret his open letter to the French President about tackling the migrant crisis despite backlash from Paris. And a report says lockdown measures had a devastating impact on early diagnosis of lung cancer and may have caused the deaths of thousands of patients. Flights have been temporarily banned from 6 African countries as they're added to the UK's red list. From 4 a.m. on Sunday, people travelling to the UK from South Africa will need to quarantine in a hotel for 10 days at a cost of more than £2,000. It comes amid concerns over a new variant detected in South Africa, with reports it's already spread to Europe. The Health Secretary says not much is yet known about it, but emphasised the importance of moving quickly. NTD's Jen Worrell has more for us.
We are concerned that this new variant may...
There's a lot of uncertainty over the new variant detected in South Africa. Earlier in the Commons, the Health Secretary listing the unknowns about it.
Early indications show this variant may be more transmissible than the Delta variant, and current vaccines may be less effective against it. It may also impact the effectiveness of one of our major treatments, Ronapreve.
The Shadow Health Secretary absent as he recovers from COVID-19. The new variant was found in Botswana and in Hong Kong in travellers from South Africa. Ministers and Parliament moving quickly and deciding to close borders. It's not known how serious this new variant is. In the Commons, an MP asking about the possibility of nasal vaccines. And this MP wanting to know more about medical trials for ivermectin as a treatment for the disease.
Over 5 months ago, ivermectin was added to the Oxford University trial called Principle. When will the results from that trial be available? And what is the government doing to expedite the process? Because ivermectin may not be a magic bullet, but it may be.
Secretary of State.
Friend makes a very important point there. One thing that is different about dealing with this pandemic today than even a year ago is that we already do have more treatments. And my honourable friend mentions another potential new treatment. I'm afraid there's no exact date that I can share with him about when we think the trials will be over. But I'm pleased that these trials are taking place. He's right to point out the potential of this treatment. But I can reassure him that whether it's with ivermectin or other potential new treatments, the UK could not be more engaged.
For those booking their flights back to the UK last night, disappointment and frustration.
Very emotional. I was happy to see my family, but I want to get home to my husband and my kids now. Yeah, so I hope I can make this flight with the tests and everything.
It's a big inconvenience. We had our flights booked for a week's time, but we got the news from our daughter in the UK about 12:30, 1 o'clock last night.
Ever since these regulations were passed last night, people are frantically trying to get back into the UK. The implications for tourism for South Africa are dire.
The Health Secretary says plans remain in place to deal with COVID-19 with vaccinations, but uncertainties do remain, and the government, of course, hasn't ruled out further restrictions. Jen Worrell, NTD News, London.
A spokesman for the Prime Minister says he does not regret his letter to French President Emmanuel Macron about tackling the migrant crisis in the Channel. Earlier today, France withdrew the UK Home Secretary's invitation to a meeting with key EU countries. France accused the Prime Minister of not being serious after he published a letter containing several proposals on Twitter. NTD's Eddie Aiken has the story.
A fallout with the French fueled by a letter from the Prime Minister posted on Twitter. In it, several proposals to tackle the migrant crisis in the Channel. Boris Johnson's spokesperson says he does not regret his letter to French President Emmanuel Macron. But France earlier on Friday withdrew an invitation to the Home Secretary to attend an upcoming meeting in Calais to discuss the crisis. French President Macron accused the Prime Minister of not being serious during a news conference held in Rome with Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi.
We don't communicate between leaders on these issues via tweets or published letters. We are not whistleblowers. Come on, come on.
The letter published on Twitter proposes joint patrols to prevent more boats from leaving French beaches. Using advanced technology such as sensors and radar to track the migrants and airborne surveillance by manned flights and drones. And for France to take back migrants that managed to cross the English Channel. For Macron, he says the crisis begins before the migrants reach French soil, and that the problem must be solved further up the line.
The real answer is therefore serious cooperation to prevent these actions, to dismantle these trafficking networks, and to prevent these women and men from arriving on our soil, because it's already too late when they are there.
In Calais, France, just a day after the deadliest accident when 27 migrants lost their lives, a migrant from Afghanistan told Sky he remains determined to cross the Channel.
I heard the news, my life, to be very honest, by myself, I don't care about others because it's my own life. Even I see the water, I can swim. If I put my mask, my jacket, I can swim. To be honest, I want to go to UK because my life is there will be very good.
So far this year, nearly 26,000 people have made the dangerous journey to the UK in small boats. That's 3 times the total for the whole of 2020. Eddie Aitken, NTD News.
COVID-19 lockdowns could lead to more than 2,500 extra lung cancer deaths in the UK, according to a new report. Catching cancer early is a key factor in treating it, but lockdowns have impacted the opportunity for early diagnosis. The report says the pre-pandemic improvements in survival rates are in jeopardy. NTD's David English brings us more.
A report says thousands of lung cancer patients may have died unnecessarily as a result of lockdown measures. Published on Thursday, the UK Lung Cancer Coalition report says improvements in survival rates occurring before the pandemic are now in jeopardy. It estimates that delays in diagnosis caused by lockdown measures could lead to more than 2,500 extra deaths in the UK. Professor Robert Rintoul, chair of the Coalition's Clinical Advisory Group, says COVID-19 has had a devastating impact on early diagnosis of lung cancer and has compromised our target of driving up 5-year UK survival to 25% by 2025. Cancer support charity Macmillan has also revealed a backlog of almost 50,000 people missing a cancer diagnosis and a record number of patients waiting too long to start treatment. The charity says the NHS would need to work at 110% capacity for over a year to catch up with the backlog of people who should have started cancer treatment since March 2020. David English, NTD News.
One Conservative MP has said that many male characters like Doctor Who, Ghostbusters and others have all been replaced by women. That means many boys are increasingly left with only gangsters as role models. His comments came during a debate for International Men's Day as he highlighted the difficulties faced by boys and men. This report comes from NTD's Joanne Robson.
Nick Fletcher to move the motion.
Tory MP Nick Fletcher says boys need more positive male role models. During a debate on Thursday, he said young men are left with characters that glamorise crime, as Doctor Who, Ghostbusters and other positive male screen roles have been replaced by women.
In recent years, we have seen Doctor Who, Ghostbusters, Luke Skywalker, The Equalizer, all replaced by women, and men are left with The Craze and Tommy Shelby. Is there any wonder we are seeing so many young men committing crime? These programmes make crime look cool.
Jodie Whittaker is the first female Doctor Who, while an all-female lineup starred in the 2016 remake of Ghostbusters. Tommy Shelby is a gangster from the TV series Peaky Blinders.
Everywhere, not at least within the cultural sphere, there seems to be a call from a tiny yet very vocal minority that every male character or good role model must have a female replacement. One only needs to look at the discussion surrounding who will play the next James Bond.
The MP for Don Valley highlighted the difficulties faced by young boys, with many lagging behind at school. He stressed the need for boys to have positive male role models and pressed the government to help efforts to encourage more men to become teachers.
Yet I would also like to reiterate something that seems to be very topical at the moment, although much more for women than men, and that is the need for men to have their own identity and for masculinity to be something that can be celebrated at times rather than continually vilified.
Fletcher's comment caused some controversy. He later published a statement saying his nuanced point about increasingly fewer male role models for young boys had been misconstrued. He said, "My point was, in fact, a straightforward one and in no way linked Doctor Who, being a female, to crime being committed by men." He went on to write that the only characters many boys with no good male role models in their lives see on television are increasingly criminal. Fletcher's comments came as he led the International Men's Day debate in Westminster Hall. International Men's Day is on November the 19th worldwide. The purpose is to celebrate the positive value men bring to the world, their families and communities. Joanne Robson, NTD News.
Retailers are poised for a record Black Friday as early data shows shoppers spending more than they did before the pandemic. Figures from Barclaycard reveal that sales volumes increased by over 4% compared with Black Friday in 2019. Retail experts had predicted that spending will rise beyond pre-pandemic levels as shoppers spend more on loved ones following disrupted Christmas celebrations last year. Analysts expect shoppers to spend almost £9 billion on Black Friday. Sales often comprise discounts on older generation smartphones or home appliance. Black Friday comes amid increased pressure on the retail sector with supply chain disruption, soaring shipping costs and labour shortages. TV and film characters are set to lead this year's top toys. That's according to the Toy Retailers Association. It's released its top 12 dream toys for Christmas. But the main concern this year is getting the toys to the consumer after a year of supply chain and transport challenges. NTD's Joanna Conway has more for us.
The list of the top 12 dream toys for Christmas is out. Selected by a panel of retailers and experts, it predicts what toys will be popular this year.
We discuss all the different toys that are either on the market or coming on the market between then and Christmas, and we work out what we think might be the best sellers.
All 12 toys are new to the market and range in price from £10 to £70, with an average price of £36. On the list is this car from the hit series Paw Patrol.
This toy has been designed to replicate that transformation exactly, and you get with it, it chases 2 in 1 vehicle, motorcycle chase, and some really cool lights and sounds and transforming features.
Star Wars, Pokemon and Jurassic World also make the list. Along with Gassy Gus, players feed him with food items displayed on cards, and the player who feeds him too much loses. And some well-known toys are still trending, like LOL Surprise. This year the dolls are based on the Netflix movie by the same name.
You can collect them all together, you can connect them in different ways and build your own movie storyline. So all about that creativity with kids.
Also making the list is a Bluey family home playset based on the children's TV series Bluey.
It comes with lots of different play pieces, so you have beds, sofas and furniture. It then comes with your Bluey figurines, so you can play out all your favourite episodes from the show.
Also set to be a hit, Magic Mixie's Cauldron, a Barbie mermaid, Coco Melon JJ interactive doll, Hot Wheels and Little Live Pets My Pig Piggy. But with just weeks left until Christmas, supply chain problems are a huge concern for the industry.
The last thing we want is to disappoint children at Christmas time. But the message is, if you have the time, get out and shop early.
In the meantime, toy makers are already getting ready for Christmas in 2022. Joanna Conway, NTD News.
Still to come, 52 people are dead after a coal mine explosion in Russia, the country's worst mining disaster in a decade. That and more after the break. At least 52 people, including 6 emergency rescuers, died in a coal mine accident in South Russia, the country's worst mining disaster in a decade. Russian authorities detained safety inspectors who they say issued a safety certificate for the mine earlier this month without actually checking the facility. NTD's Joanna Conway has a report.
A gas leak in a coal mine in South Russia killed 52 people on Thursday. The Emergencies Ministry confirmed on Friday that the victims are 46 miners and 6 rescuers. Rescue efforts have been impacted by the risk of further explosions.
The number of people getting medical help has gone up, as 9 mine rescuers ended up in hospital. They're all in our hospitals too. One has a head injury and 10 people have gas poisoning.
This is believed to be Russia's worst mining disaster in a decade. An explosion of leaked methane gas led to a fire that filled the mine with toxic fumes. Nearly 300 people were in the mine and most of them managed to escape.
Impact, air, dust, and then we smelled gas and just started walking out, as many as we could. We didn't even realise what happened at first and took some gas in. That's it, we just got rescued. I was crawling, and then I felt them grabbing me. I reached my arms out to them, they couldn't see me. The visibility was bad. They grabbed me and pulled me out. If not for them, we'd be dead.
The regional safety inspectors have been arrested. Russia's investigative committee says they issued a safety certificate for the mine in November without actually checking the facility. Joanna Conway, NTD News.
Ukraine has uncovered a plot for an attempted coup due to take place next week. This was announced by the president at a press conference where he also spoke of a threat of military escalation from Russia.
We received information that a coup d'etat will take place in our country on the 1st. Interesting, isn't it? I think it's important information. On December the 1st or 2nd.
Zelensky did not give details of the coup attempt or accuse the Russian state of involvement. Russia has been building up forces near its border with Ukraine. Kiev has been holding military drills of its own in response. Ukraine, the US and NATO have voiced concerns about a possible Russian attack, a suggestion the Kremlin has dismissed as false and alarmist. Moscow and Kiev have traded blame for rising tensions in recent weeks, raising fears that the long-running conflict could erupt into renewed open warfare. The European Commission proposed on Thursday that EU residents will need to have COVID-19 vaccine booster jabs to avoid quarantines and restrictions when travelling between EU countries next summer. It made its proposal as Europe again became the centre of the COVID-19 pandemic, even after successful vaccination campaigns. We've got more from NTD's Al Rhodes.
The European Commission wants to introduce COVID-19 booster jabs for internal EU travel.
In practice, this means that member states ought to accept vaccination certificates where no more than 9 months has elapsed since the initial vaccination series. After 9 months, the vaccination certificate will no longer be valid if there has not been a booster dose.
EU coordination on COVID passes has allowed an easing of cross-border travel restrictions. Yet cases have soared within the EU despite the vaccination campaign and subsequent measures. It was subject to discussion by EU members on Tuesday.
We invite member states to focus on a person-based approach. This means that holders of an EU certificate should, in principle, not be subject to additional travel restrictions, wherever they come from in the European Union.
The European Centre for Disease Prevention and Control, ECDC, on Wednesday recommended vaccine boosters for all adults, with priority for those over 40. The passes, typically viewed on mobile devices, are issued by individual countries, but are recognised across the bloc. They are now increasingly being deployed in many EU countries for access to public indoor areas and public transport. Earl Rhodes, NTD News.
Hospitals in Germany have warned that intensive care beds are running out. The recent spike in COVID-19 cases has led to more hospitalizations.
Das Gesundheitssystem ist ja schon länger.
The healthcare system has been in a mess for a long time, and we know that hospitals reached capacity limits already during the flu epidemics in the past, and never has anyone in politics apparently cared about that.
Und nie hat sich da offenbar in der Politik jemand drum gekümmert.
Some hospitals in the country's south and east are transferring patients to other regions. Data experts point out that German hospitals this month have 3,000 fewer ICU beds available than a year ago, largely due to staff shortages. The government is urging people who are vaccinated more than 6 months ago to get boosters. Those who haven't been inoculated at all were urged to get their first shot. Officials say around 68% of Germany's 83 million inhabitants are fully vaccinated. This week, as Germany passed the 100,000 mark for reported COVID deaths, non-vaccinated people now need to get tested to get on public transport. NTD's Eddie Aiken brings us this report.
As of Wednesday, a set of so-called 3G rules came into force in railway systems across Germany. That means passengers must provide proof of vaccination, recovery, or have up-to-date test results. Otherwise, they'll have to get off the train.
On the next station, I will go out and looking for where I can do the test.
Aside from public transport, random checks are also done in cafes and Christmas markets, among other public places. On top of those checks, Germany's health ministry proposed vaccine mandates for workers in nursing homes and clinics, starting next January. Support is growing for that decision.
Well, I'm in favour of mandatory vaccinations, especially for the care sector or people who work with those in need of protection. I can imagine that there will be a split in public opinion, but we will see. I have trust in the people that they understand what's going on and that we simply have to manage it.
Germany's reported COVID death toll passed the 100,000 mark this week. Eddie Aitken, NTD News.
Germany's would-be governing parties vowed this week to modernize Europe's biggest economy and step up efforts against climate change as they announce an agreement that leaves centre-left leader Olaf Scholz poised to replace longtime Chancellor Angela Merkel within weeks. NTD's David English tells us more.
The three German parties have reached a deal this week to form a new government that will end the era of Chancellor Angela Merkel. The centre-left Social Democrats, the environmental Greens and the pro-business Free Democrats are set to take the reins within weeks. The three-party alliance, named Traffic Light Coalition after the three parties' respective colours, is a first for a German government. On Wednesday, the designated Chancellor presented it as an opportunity.
We are united by a belief in progress and that politics can achieve something good. We are united by the will to make the country better, to move it forward and to keep it together. We are not about lowest common denominator politics, but about high-impact politics.
The co-leader of the environmentalist Green Party and likely Economy and Climate Minister said measures planned by the government would put Germany on a path to meet the goals of the 2015 Paris Climate Accord. Key pledges include an increase to the minimum wage to £10 per hour and to get 400,000 new apartments per year built. At the Free Democrats' insistence, the prospective partners said they won't raise taxes or loosen curbs on running up debt. Scholz signalled that the country's foreign policy would not change much.
Our task is to contribute to making this world multilateral, with cooperation at the forefront and where we know that we all bear responsibility for our security together.
The main opposition party, Merkel's Christian Democrats, criticised the coalition as not based on sound finances.
If you look at the arrangement now, many people have the impression that Christmas has come early and that now we have this big gift-giving day. But no one answers the question of how to pay for this.
Members of all three parties still need to ratify the agreement. The German parliament is expected to vote Scholz in as Chancellor by early next month. David English, NTD News.
Italy has given safe haven to an Afghan woman whose iconic photograph featured on the front cover of National Geographic magazine in 1985. The image shows a green-eyed Afghan girl that captured the world's attention as a symbol of her country's wars. Shabat Gula, shown here in photographs from 2016, asked Italy for help to leave Afghanistan following the Taliban's takeover of the country. Gula was photographed aged 12 years old, living in a refugee camp on the Pakistan-Afghan border. Her identity was only discovered in 2002 when the original photographer Steve McCurry returned to the region and tracked her down. Prime Minister Mario Draghi's office says her arrival in Italy is part of a broader program to evacuate and integrate Afghan citizens. That's your news for today. Have a good evening.